Hello and welcome everybody to not the Joe and Cheese show, which usually gets released around about now. Cheese has work, and we got Charlie in instead.
Big sigh of sadness probably from the audience, but Cheese will be on Wednesday show. So
yeah, we switched it around a little bit. You were running a little bit late though, Charlie.
No, I'm not late actually because it was a 2:30 start time.
No. But you said sorry, I'm late. We've been waiting. Tony and I have been waiting. Yeah, start time, but we could have started earlier. But your excuse was, oh, sorry, I was on a phone call.
Yeah, amongst other things as well.
But the main thing was the phone call. Like, it's my understanding that your car does have the Bluetooth connect to the phone.
Before I'd gotten in the lift, someone called me. So that I can't get in the lift, it's then going to end the phone call early.
Well, that's where you use your common sense, your brain, you think about this. Yeah. Go, hey, mate, I'm just going to hop in the lift. I'll call you back in 2 minutes. So if that person desperately wants to speak to you, like they clearly did, because it was a 10-minute conversation, we would have been kicking off this a long time ago.
I did try and wrap up the phone call.
You've messed up the fate of the whole universe by you not being a thinker.
But what if maybe I would have had a car crash on the way here if I didn't get in that lift. So it's all everything
maybe now something will happen.
Nah.
Maybe you've avoided something, but you also now you're the causation.
I can't now because now I'm here and it is what it is. Now I move on.
Yeah, but we would have been here 10 minutes ago, which means it's affected the rest of mine, yours, and Tony's life. I was
probably planning.
And it's also affected our listeners' lives because they would be listening to this.
Well, it's affecting them now because they're listening to this rubbish. They're listening to this rubbish. Yeah. Well, whereas when there's plenty of rugby league to talk about.
Is there?
There's plenty. And the biggest story is, at time of recording, nothing's been announced yet, but there's a massive board meeting happening at South Sydney tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, if you're listening now. Yeah, go on, mate. Did you want to say something?
Sorry, I just want to say big shout out to the UK Navy team that came out here, presented their jerseys on Friday. Went to Manly to present them with the jerseys. It's really cool, actually. So they got up, they won, they battered the Aussies, so good on them. So they've had a weekend celebrating. One of the lads goes, it's funny. I was actually listening to the bar round on the way here. I was like,
oh, really?
There you go. So I said I'd give them a shout out.
Yep.
They asked me if I drank beer, and I'm like, I don't like. I'm not having one now. I'm about to go to work. And they said, no, they've had this beer made from a brewery in Sydney. So they give me a case of that. So I did say I would try it and give them a bit of a review on how it tastes, but I'll have to wait till next week for that, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But congratulations. It was a pleasure and an honour to present those jerseys, and especially Anzac Day, Anzac Round, lots of thoughts and reflection on those people that protect us and give us our way of life, give us the ability to speak and think freely. So it was very important, and it was a pleasure to spend a little bit of time with them, and really fortunate that they got the win. There's some good blokes in that team.
Just while we're on Anzac rounds, it's such a special round. I think the NRL do it as well as any other sporting code in the world in paying homage to the fallen soldiers and the current soldiers as well. And like, you know how there was some commentary around sort of doing the Anzac ceremonies on the games that weren't on Anzac Day? Yeah. I think that's stupid to criticise that. It's fantastic, especially when you look at the stuff in, say, Townsville, for example, which is a garrison area. There's a lot. It's, that stuff's ingrained up there. And for them to be able to go and have that moment there, it's special.
It is. It is. And also, you can't be angry because you watch every game. Like, if you personally get 8 hits of that ceremony, like, there's people that don't. Like, and if you're at the game, you only get it once. And I think it's a special thing. Honestly, it's something I am blown away by each and every year. Just the Australian and Aussie and Kiwis' commitment to this day. Like, I was at the dawn service in Cronulla, and it was just so moving. I was with my parents, and they were like, geez, this sort of puts Britain to shame. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we as Brits need to celebrate our Remembrance Sundays and the 11th hour and the 11th day of the 11th month a little bit more. But I think as two nations, Australia and New Zealand should feel proud for doing that and getting up at dawn once it, like, you know, the alarm goes off at 4:30, you get up, you go, or whatever time it is. Like, it's one little thing to just say thank you and give yourself that reflection time. Like,
it's such a powerful event.
It is, and you should be very proud of yourselves, Aussies and Kiwis, that take the time to think and celebrate and just tip your hat and say thanks to those people. And obviously, you know, there's a bit of fun in and around it as well with the 2-up, and then, you know, the football's involved. It's a good day for the people. So you should be very proud of what you or how you use this day to reflect, think, and celebrate those people. It's really important. But yeah, I think it needs to be there for the duration of the round. But anyway, you are right, Charlie. We have got a fair bit to get through in terms of news. This board meeting at Souths, look, the writing's been on the wall. I think they've started the season, they're 1-6. They're 1 victory against the Bulldogs on Good Friday. And things really haven't changed. Unfortunately, they haven't. They were poor against Melbourne, like conceding as many points as they did. Some of the tries, the Harry Grant try where he jumped out of dummy half was sort of sums up where Souths are at the minute. And I feel for Jason Demetriou. We've had him on the show. He was part of the round table. I think genuinely he's a good person, a good guy. I think he's got the ability to coach. We saw that last year with where he took Souths and the year before. Excuse me. But it's just not working, and unfortunately for him, the easy option is to move him on. And I guess people complain or say, why wait this long? I think they'd looked at the 2 games coming up, the one against the Storm and the one against the Panthers. This is after the bye. I think the logical choice will be to bring in that new coach for the Dragons game. Then they play the Cowboys. I said it was at home, but it's actually Magic Round, Eels, and then Titans. Like, that's a more attractive month of football. And then also the power brokers, the decision makers. If that person can come in and get a few results, it looks like they've made the right call.
Yeah. And even, if they, at time of recording, no decision has been made yet. The reports are, or the mail anyway, is that Jason Demetriou, the decision's going to be made and he will get sacked on Tuesday. It could happen that quickly. So at time of recording, now he may be gone. They may choose to say, hey, stick around. You know, getting Penrith this weekend off a 5-day turnaround after that tough game they had in Townsville, it's not the worst time to get Penrith. Like South could be, that's where the danger is if you don't make the decision now and South come out and have a really good performance against Penrith, well, then it pushes everything back a month.
Yeah.
So if they are going to make decisions, they probably need to make that call
as of now. No later than, because let's see, Souths, they play Thursday, so they can't do it then. Captains on Wednesday, they can't do it then. Yeah, Tuesday's the day they have to do it. If they wait any longer than Tuesday, that they, decision makers will be thinking, well, what if they actually go all right against Penrith?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's strange that with South Sydney, they're such a powerful club, such a well-run club, it would seem. However, the last couple months, it really feels like they're deteriorating. Like there's the talks of the infighting now. Russell Crowe's losing power. Mike Cannon-Brooks has more power. There's this power struggle going on. Yeah. This is not something you'd expect from South Sydney.
No, it's not, and it's bizarre. I can't quite figure it out, and even thinking about like administrations and good versus bad, and you want your board aligned, but I don't, and you want your owners aligned. I can't quite figure it out, and even talk of this person doesn't like this person, so they don't want to support them on that. It's like, do what's best, whatever it is. Do what's best for the club.
Yeah. Even like, Russell Crowe's reached out to Shane Richardson. That story that came out, it's like, all right, well, they've already got a CEO, and Blake Solly was, and then also the stuff, they've got Lewis Dodd, but Jason Demetriou probably doesn't know they're going after Lewis Dodd. It's just, it's all messy. Yeah. Everywhere you look at the moment, it's messy there. So whatever decision they do come to, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done at South Sydney, because this isn't just the coach, clearly. Yeah. This is a lot more deeper issues going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, even the playing roster, they they've not responded. Like, can a coach change that response? Yes. Can a coach change the style and how they play and how they look? Yes. But, you know, there's some issues there within the playing group that I think both with performance needs to be resolved and maybe attitude as well.
One of those players that has had a tough year, hasn't been playing the last couple of weeks because of suspension, is Latrell Mitchell. Little report came out that he may be weighing up his options if he's going to play Origin or not. If he does pull himself out, that is a huge loss for New South Wales.
He can't do that. He can't. He needs to play Origin. And it'd actually be better for Souths. Better for him and therefore then better for South Sydney if he plays. I think if anybody at Souths, whoever's, I guess, that person in charge or those people that are in charge, get to him and say, mate, you are playing. We need you to go on the biggest stage. We need you to win that Origin series. We need you to come back feeling good about yourself. Like, imagine the difference between Latrell going into an Origin, winning, or being one of the best on the ground, and coming back to South. Like, I imagine he'd feel people talk about him not doing it because he wants to save South Sydney's season. South Sydney's season's gone. Like, they're not going to play finals. So why not put him in an environment where he's going to feel so much better? An
example of that last year, Bradman Best.
Yeah.
The Knights were struggling. They weren't going that good. He went and played Origin. They came back in and he brought this energy back to Newcastle. Gave him a lift. He played his best footy after that.
He did. And then, and also speaking to people in and around the game, like, what is the Latrell's best position for South Sydney? Fullback, centre. I'm sort of turned to, I thought it was fullback. I'm sort of leaning more towards centre now, where he can impact the game and impact his team. Forget the price tag. Forget the level of player that this person is. Play him in centres. Let him do his thing there. Forget his stature. That's where he'll play State of Origin football. So I think that's a mistake if they don't encourage him and the people around him don't encourage him to go and play Origin. Like, it can be seen as this, like, oh, I'm doing the selfless thing and I'm all about Souths. The best thing he can do for Souths, in my opinion, is to play State of Origin.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It does look as though all roads are leading to Wayne Bennett coming back to South Sydney as well.
Well, yeah, it does.
For 2025, obviously.
Yeah, 2025.
Finished the year at the Dolphins. Christian Wolf takes over.
Yeah, that was always the plan. And then, yeah, Wayne will be a wanted man.
It's interesting. I mean, he only left there a couple of years ago to be coming back. Yeah, it's a strange old world.
I'm back again.
Emmanuel,
I want you back. I want you back for good. Well, he's not going to come back for good.
No.
He'll come back for
2 years. There'll be a succession plan.
Yeah.
Sam Burgess succession plan.
No, well, Sam's come out and said he wants to stay at Warrington. He's a man of his word.
Yeah.
I think he will.
What's he got? He signed a 2-year
This
deal
year
there,
and next
didn't he?
year, yeah.
We'll see what happens there. Luke Keary, Jimmy. He's called time on his NRL career. This will be his last year. He actually signed a deal to play on in 2025 during the off-season, but we're 8 rounds in, and he said, nah, this will be it for me.
Yeah, well, if you look at him at the end of that Anzac Day game, like, he looked busted. He got injured in, like, the last 30 seconds or whatever it was. So he's had a fair injury toll. A player that has been very brave in his approach, considering his stature, how he's gone about his business in the NRL through his very successful career. Won 3 premierships at 2 clubs. Like, he's probably gone, do I need this anymore? Like, maybe, like, you think the success of the elder halfbacks in the past couple of seasons have been quite evident. So you'd think, oh, well, he's entering that stage, lean on more experience rather than toughness. But I just don't think that's how Luke Keary rolls. And also, you can get, just because other people have done it doesn't mean it will happen to you. I think with Luke Keary, it appears as though it's more of a risk assessment and feel around, do I need to do this anymore? do I want to do this anymore? Am I willing to pay the price to A, get on the field and deal with all the shit that comes after it in terms of how I feel? And you can get to a point where you go, look, being a professional athlete, in my opinion, it's the best job in the world. He'll never experience anything like this ever again. But I fully understand what it's like to be in a headspace and a physical pain space of, this just ain't worth it anymore. I need the alternative. Whatever that alternative is, I need it. And, you know, at 32, nearly 33, it's not really that early. Yes, he had another year, but it's, you know, if someone said, oh, you retire from professional sport at 33, you're not like, oh, wow, you've left a lot on the table there, haven't you? It's like, no, yeah.
We sort of saw a changing of the guard in that game as well on Thursday. And I mean, Luke Keary even said as much. After the game, he was asked, and he's like, no, this is Sam's team. He's running this team, and I'm going to be playing off him. And there was a moment in the game where Luke Keary was at first receiver, and Sam Walker kind of got in there and said, nah, and jumped in there, got the ball, sort of almost pushed Luke Keary out of the way and controlled that team.
And that's how, you know, Keary has played his game. He partnered Adam Reynolds, who was the dominant half. He partnered Cooper Cronk, who was the dominant half. So, you know, the past couple of years, he's had to take on that role. So I think it's more natural for him to have someone else run the team. But obviously that experience, when you look at Walker and Keary, you think, oh, no, Keary's going to run the show. But they've had to change that. And I don't really think that factors in to his decision. But I think what it does is... Yeah, it doesn't factor into his decision. I think he's just done.
At his best, he was one of the best 5'8" in the game. Like those two Roosters premierships, he was arguably as influential as any other player in their team on those.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he was a bit of a nightmare to play against. And test you out.
Because even one of those grand finals, people forget, Cooper Cronk was playing with one arm for one of them, and Luke Keary controlled their whole attack.
Yeah. He's a tough kid, man. He's a tough kid.
On the Roosters' performance then, it was arguably their best performance they've had in a couple of years.
Definitely their best performance in a long time. I was a little bit worried as well when no Radley, no Tupou, who I think have been, Radley's certainly up there in their top 3 each and every week. But... And then how the game, when the Dragons scored that try. But that performance, I think, has been coming for the Roosters, but they just need to keep doing it. I think that, for me, looking at the league table or the ladder and where it's going to end up, just from what I've seen at the moment, I think Penrith, Broncos, Storm are definitely in the top 4. So there's one spot left. From what I've seen at this moment in time, and with the potential for some teams to play at, I think that last top 4 spot is either Sharks, Manly, or Roosters. At this moment in time, that's where it's at. And I think Sharks are probably the front runners, Manly not far behind them, Roosters, maybe Warriors, maybe, if they can turn it around. But they've been very disappointing these past couple of weeks. Very disappointing. They got away with that draw against Manly. Yeah.
It's sort of been the Warriors of old a little bit, hasn't it? Because at the Titans, at the start there, they looked really good. Look, they were going to get whatever they want. And then
when Adam Blake scored that try, well, it was my same game multi, wasn't it?
Yeah, you hopped on a chat and you were letting us know. And I was,
to be fair, mate, I'm going to admit, I think you know why the Warriors lost?
You went the early crow.
Because I went and put it in that WhatsApp group that Adam Blake scored, and I was like, we're home.
Yeah. You know, I'm like so superstitious of bets. I won't even tell people my bets until they've resulted. So then, like in the punters group chat and whatnot,
very superstitious.
I won't tell them. And I'll be like, oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, I did this. That's probably why I haven't got any same game multis up on the show yet this year. Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, could also be I've got no idea what I'm talking about.
Probably the latter. Just on the Roosters, I thought they really took advantage of some Dragons' mistakes, like really took advantage of them and really made them pay. But they've just got to keep doing it now. I think they normally do the Anzac Day really well in terms of what Coach Robinson brings to the group. I thought Brandon Smith was fantastic again. I won't tell him that on Wednesday. I'll try and pick his game up. But
keep him motivated.
Yeah.
He's also it hasn't really made much news for some reason, but Cheese has picked up his option, so he's staying at the Chooks.
Has he?
Yeah.
It'd be nice for him to announce it on our show.
Well, it's already been announced, so you know.
A little bit disappointing. That
it was in Danny Wilder's column on Sunday.
Was it?
Yeah.
And Cheese is quoted.
No, not quoted.
Oh well, we'll get the first quote.
Exclusive.
We'll get the exclusive, like the insight to the deal.
Yeah. Why I'm staying in Bondi.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. Yeah.
I hope it's not a fucking media day today or tomorrow.
Yeah, where he gets in early. Nah, he wouldn't do that to us.
No, he wouldn't.
Nah. Let's move on from the Roosters though.
If you want to move on, I'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on from them.
Let's move on.
You spoke about the Sharks. They are flying 40-0. I know they probably haven't had the toughest opposition yet, but they look really, really good. And the knock on them the last couple of years is they beat the teams in the bottom half of the ladder and they struggle against teams in the top half.
Yeah, it's top 8 sides that they've actually genuinely struggled against. And that's always going to be around until they can rectify that. The only way they can rectify that is through beating those teams. I think their best victory so far this season has been against the Warriors in round 1 over in New Zealand. 16 points to 12 because they defended their way to victory. Like they had to defend. Like yesterday, they didn't have to defend their way to victory. Same against the Cowboys the week before.
Having said
really
that, they kept the Raiders to 0. They kept the Raiders to 0. So they did defend well.
Yeah, they defended well, but it's not the top teams are going to throw more at them, and it's going to be and they're not going to score tries as easily as what they did yesterday. So they play the Dragons in the next game. Then they go down to Melbourne. That will be a huge game for them. Roosters Magic Round. That is going to be. That's the 5:30 game on the Saturday. How good is that?
Great game.
And then after that they play the Penrith Panthers. So those 3 weeks, we're going to get a real look at where this Sharks team are at because, I like I say, they've got that potential to be the top 4. They could even be a top 4 team without even beating anyone else in the top 4. That is a possible thing for them to do. But they're going to need evidence that they can do it when push comes to shove because they're going to play teams like the Panthers, like the Storm, like the Broncos that have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, that know how to get those games done. So they need to practice beating those teams. I even think we might see, like, no disrespect to the Dragons, it's a local derby, but I think we might see the Sharks just play a bit more of a style like you would play against the top 4 team, an attitude of, I'm not playing the Dragons today, I'm playing Penrith. I think that's what we'll see. But just on that game coming up, I know we'll talk about midweek matters. Geez, Flanagan's lit the fuse.
He has, hasn't he?
Great coaching deflector tactics from him. Love what he said. Oh, they've not won one since I've left, have they? No, they've not. But also, we know the Dragons just got pumped.
And conceded 60
points. No one's talking about that. They're talking about Flanagan's comments, which is that's the art of coaching. But yeah, it'd be an interesting game, that Flano up against his old club.
There is probably a little bit of bad blood there. Same from, just a little bit. Just enough.
Yeah. Really, I think when Flanagan wins the comp with the Sharks in 16, like he's looking at that as like, I'm going to be a Sharks coach for life. And obviously there was things happening, the process, all that. But he's moved on. But there's feeling there, of course.
And
he's got his tattoo with and he should be very proud of what he achieved there. But there'd be a bit of, I want to show you guys what you're missing. Yeah.
And on the Dragons will be ecstatic with what they've got in Shane Flanagan arriving.
Yeah, disappointing. I think Flanagan is smart enough to know he's going to have some afternoons like that where they get pumped. But they're in a much better spot now than where they were 12 months ago. And even, they got a good victory to start the season, and then they get pumped by the Dolphins. So he knows these days we're going to see this. We're going to have this consistency issue, because that, and a lot of teams, they're not out there on their own in that group of teams. He knows that, but the fact that he knows it and he's prepared for that, so for me, that line that he said, that's not a throwaway. I'm going to put this in my back pocket just in case. Because if the Dragons win that game against the Roosters, it's like he's going to put a heap of praise on them. But he's going to have that in his back pocket, so he knows. And he'd also that's good that he's aware of that, and he could have some things in training in and around. Like, how do we deal with a varying levels of performance and consistency?
Because really, he's got them overperforming at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Across the board, those players are playing way better than they were last year. I know this is going to sound silly, but I didn't actually think they were that bad against the Roosters, even though they had 60 put on them. Like, they looked okay at parts. Probably Tyrrell Sloan got caught out of position a couple of times, and they conceded a couple of soft tries, but they weren't that bad. And in the press conference, they mentioned about Eisenhuth going to the centres, but that wasn't the side that the Roosters got a lot of joy. They actually defended. They switched Kyle Flanagan to the centre, defending the centres, and Eisenhuth defended in the halves. Kyle Flanagan did a really good job on Joey Manu, I thought, considering what a mismatch that is. I guess for me, where the Dragons struggled is they had no attack that side, so they couldn't give the ball to Eisenhuth because, with respect, he's a hard-working middle forward. So, and they did that previously against the Tigers when they lost Jack Baird. I reckon if that happens again when they lose a centre, we'll see a different juggling of the playing roster. Yep. Parramatta, another team that struggled over the weekend. They lost. They put up a good effort. They fought well.
Well, they started amazingly, but that's their issue. Second half fade outs. Same happened against the Dolphins. Like, if Friday's game was an isolated incident, you'd be, you could pin it on the Sevo incident, but it hasn't been. The same thing happened last week, 8 days ago, 7 days ago. So, we were in the same situation where
they were in the game.
They were winning.
Yeah.
And then they come out second half, and then Manly go bang, bang. It's like, oh, here we go again. Yeah, they had an opportunity. They were still in the contest when Sevo got Sinbin, but
I think we haven't got on the rundown the idiot of the week, but I think Mike Sevo's got to win the idiot of the week. It just was a brain fart of the highest order.
And Penasini had just come back on. Like, Gutho's playing busted, trying his arse off. He's probably the only, what I would quote as like a worker style player in that team. They've got class in that team. They've got some great attacking players. They've got some forwards that I think want the ball. But I don't know if they've got that worker style player other than Gutherson. I reckon the rest are more attack-minded players. And that's not a criticism. That's just an observation. And I think that style can work for you. I think if that's their identity, we're an attacking-minded team that like to offload, that have the ability to go Campbell Gillard, ball out, Hopgood with the ball playing offload, Lane and Matheson, offloaders of the football. Very attack. Like, look at that pack. It's an attacking-minded pack. Obviously, you got Joey Lussick. He works his balls off as well. Like, he's more of a worker than an attack-minded player. But you look at that pack, and it's big, like off Hengawi, a big man. Like, likes to offload the football.
Even Bryce Carr when he's playing.
Bryce Carr, right, again, he's an attacking-minded player. That's what they're about. So, excuse me, I think that's got to be their ID. back it and tweak a few things because it can work. It's been proven to work. It can work. It can certainly deliver better results than what they're tossing up at the moment.
Yeah. And Gutho's clearly injured.
Oh, mate.
He's busted.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the frustration when he's at his post-game press conference. Like, I think Brad Arthur got asked about the sin bin and he just put his head down and shook his head, which, in front of a room of journalists, they're going to go, well, and they did.
Brent Reed.
Yeah, Brent Reed. Like, Gutho, you shook your head there and he's like, you just can't let it go. It's like, oh, yeah, frustrating. Yeah, that's where we lost the game. But Gutho's, you got to love him. He plays on emotion. That's what makes him work his balls off because he's an emotional guy. Generally, it's a trait of those workers. They thrive off caring about something. So he's well within his rights to give Sivo a bake.
Absolutely. And he did give him a big bake. Just on press conferences, I thought Benji was a bit harsh on the journo who asked him the question about they'd lost 10 in a row at Campbelltown. And he just went at the journo and he's like, silly question. Also thought the journo should have backed himself a bit more as well. The journo was said, silly question. He's like, oh, yeah, it was a silly question. Well, if you thought it was a silly question, why'd you ask it? In the moment, he should have backed himself.
Yeah, no, it's not a silly question. It's
a fair question. You've lost 10 in a row here at Campbelltown.
It's not even a question.
It's a fact. Are you concerned about this fact? Because, if you're losing 10 games in a row at a venue, like that would say that there is some sort of a hoodoo there. You could argue, West Tigers
especially when it's a home venue as well. Like, it's not like, geez, the Souths haven't won in Melbourne for however long.
Yeah.
Or at Amy Park. Or, the Broncos haven't beat the Storm in Brisbane for a long time until they did last year.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. And they're doing well at selling out Campbelltown Stadium. The fans obviously love going there. They're getting great crowds there. But it is a venue they're struggling to win at. Especially with all the chat about where they're going to play their footy as well. It's a real question. It's worth asking.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see that, but well done, Charlie.
That's all right.
All right. You do bring something to this show.
Yeah. But the Eels, they're in a tough spot at the moment. New Zealand Warriors, we touched on them briefly. I can see in your eyes you're starting to feel a bit like, or maybe a bit of relief come over you that your Warriors prediction is coming true.
Well, I don't know about relief.
Nah, there's a relief in your eyes.
Well, I fell into the trap when they beat South. I was like, I was wrong.
Yeah, so now can you truly own your prediction? Because
I think
sort of wishy-washy with it a little bit.
I think it can.
Yeah.
And look, we'll see. They're just, I don't know. They just can't put teams away, which was an old trait of the Warriors. Like, they were a team that were like never out the contest because they had that ability to score quick tries, but they also would give you a few, and they've fallen back into that. And for all the hype and all the things, the positive things that are happening in New Zealand, for them to lose on Anzac Day, like they fought so hard to get that game, and they're playing a team that hasn't won, you thought, cleaners.
Especially when they got back in the game and you're like, they'll get them here.
But at 12-0 up, it's like, they're gonna romp home.
I thought it was going to be 50 when they were 12-0 up.
Yeah, me too.
It's a great for the Titans that they won
that.
Because
it is. Yeah.
When the Warriors would come back in that would just be so demoralising. They've really fought the last few weeks to try and get that first win. They fought so hard. If they lost that, you could really see the wheels falling off. And
Well, again, like you look at the Titans, like they would have been demoralised after last week. So close, so far, like nearly beat Manly, who were a good side. You're like, you'd be, my like going.
We
over
don't know how to win anymore.
We don't, and we've got to go to Warriors. Ugh, no thanks. Sold out. Ugh, no thanks. Credit to them, and I think what's happened. Like I've heard a few things come out of the Titans camp around what they're trying to build for the future, and it's going to be some hard. It might be a hard, tough year, but the fruits will be there to take for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Probably not too dissimilar to what happened at the Bulldogs. Cam Serrano comes in. He's got to lay down the law, set the foundations. It's difficult first 12 months, but then you get the fruits a little bit later on. And perhaps that's what's going to happen under Des Hasler.
Well, Kieran Foran's spoken about that,
Yeah.
and they're building the base. They're building the foundations of something special. So hopefully they can keep improving. The Newcastle Knights, they improved. No Kalen Ponga, no worries. They got the win.
Yeah, they played a very conservative style of play. I think they were 22 from 22 to start the game, first half. Not the most exciting brand of football, but
It was an awful game, if we're going to be honest. We were up there in Brisbane for it.
The young lad who played fullback was
Armstrong.
Yeah, I was surprised he got the nod over Will Price to begin with, but then watching him, I was like, geez, this kid can play. He was exciting, yeah. And I think he'll only get better. Speaking of exciting kids at the back, Trey Fuller for the Dolphins, rather. Like, when the hammer comes back, he's going to go to reserve grade, which is a shame. I really like that lad. He's exciting. But on Armstrong, I think he was a bit of the difference, really. Like, obviously scored that first try, went close. He should have got a penalty, and Ewan Aitken should have been sin-binned just before half-time. But he was a shining light in a Knights side that, we spoke in the commentary, and I think Gordon Tallis said it, like, this season begins today. Really interesting to watch after the Anzac ceremonies. The Dolphins start to put the ball through the hands in lines of four, which everybody that's watched the game of rugby league or played would know that drill. The Knights just got in a circle, and I think it was Adam Elliott that laid down the law and sort of spoke about what they were going to do. And they dominated that game. The Dolphins nearly came back. Like, it was strange. Like, I wonder if they were fatigued from Darwin. But they were scoring points for fun. It wasn't until like the last 3 minutes they actually... Avarillo put that move on Best. They never really went back to Avarillo. Yeah. Like, for me, that is... I wonder, like, is Avarillo saying... Has he got the confidence in that team to say, boys, give me the ball. Like, I'm going to go after Best again. Like, I want to give him an absolute bath. I want to try and embarrass this guy. I've got his number here.
Yeah.
Or is the team going... Oh, that was a bit like, I don't think anybody would have predicted that to happen. If the team just go back into their structures, but it took a while for Dolphins to wake up.
Because even at halftime, you could see we had the footage of the Dolphins dressing sheds, and you could see Wayne Bennett was really animated, telling them to play footy. You could see him even gesturing, let's move the footy around. Let's move the ball. And they didn't really do it until 4 minutes to go, and they scored 2 tries. And they're like, they're right back in it.
No, and there was a couple of defensive misreads from Nicarima, but it was disappointing from the Dolphins. Again, a coach that is probably going to realise that they're going to struggle with consistency, and when they're down on troops, like, let's not forget, they're down a lot of players. You wonder how much difference Kafusi would have made. They lost both Bromwich brothers as well with injuries, so that obviously didn't help. Like, how much difference a Flegler would make, how much difference a Gilbert would make.
Yep.
Like, you forget that those players are missing, like you do, and we forget because they won in Darwin. Like, they're massively down on troops.
Yeah, Max Platt's a great player as well. He's killing it. He's doing really well.
I like him, man.
Yeah, he's a goer. Player. Good defender.
Goer.
Bit of energy.
Cares. Brings ticker. Love him.
That's probably us done then, Jimmy. I'd say. Oh, actually, one thing before we go that's pissing me off in the game of rugby league.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about me.
No,
The way you framed that, I was like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah, no, you've done nothing, mate. You've done nothing but be a great friend and a confidant. But one thing that's pissed me off in the game of rugby league at the moment, it happened on Friday night, where it's originally awarded a try, and then they go up to the bunker and it stays a try. What the fuck are you doing?
Which game was that?
That was Friday night. That was Manly Parramatta.
Yes. So, try awarded, and then usually they have to review every try, which I think is the correct thing to do.
But they're doing that behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Try comes up, try confirmed, or they'll go upstairs.
Every time the try is checked and they go, the ref blows the whistle and goes, we're going to just check that. You know it's going to be chalked off. But they didn't confirm it. I was the same. I was watching it going, why are we getting this explanation? We don't need it.
Get on with it.
Yeah, we don't need an explanation. Yeah. Because otherwise, that would just be the process every time. Here's why it's a try. I don't need that.
No. And also, I actually think we don't even need the explanation as to why it's not a try.
I am with you.
I think we just go, oh no, it's no try. It's not. Like, why do we? They've already reviewed it.
Yeah.
They've already got their decision.
Yeah.
They're now basically acting for us. They're like, let's go through our conversation we just had and let's do it for the people at home.
Yeah. A try gets scored. They check it. Oh shit, we've actually realised that person's offside, or there's been a knock on in the build up, whatever it may be, incorrect play the ball, whatever. I don't need to know.
No.
I can go and find out after.
And
I don't
the referee
need...
can just give us a quick comment, he knocked it on.
Yeah.
No, he's knocked it on,
or
boys.
when they go, clear up to now, it's like,
Yeah.
I'll trust you that we're clear up to now.
Yeah.
Just go to the isolated incident.
Yeah.
I've made my decision. No, it's not.
Yeah.
We fucking...
Get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed us up.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
we want a quick, free-flowing game. That is one way we could look at the game and go, we're wasting precious time.
And really, the only reason they're doing it is because there's a sponsor, Menulog, that probably pay a lot of money to be the partner of the Bunker. So maybe they can twist the partnership a little bit, because Menulog, fantastic brand. Great to have them as part of Rugby League. Do great stuff, Menulog. I love them.
Love a Menulog.
Yeah.
Love all delivery services. But just even have it flash up every now and then.
Yeah.
A Menulog try.
Even that beautiful...
Try confirm.
Exactly.
Even that beautiful...
Menulog.
Scooter comes on round the field, like an actual scooter on the field, doing a little burnout. Menulog scored.
Even like referees, maybe their jerseys can have Menulog on them.
Yeah, like a light, or it lights up.
Yeah.
Like there's the referee's jersey lights up.
Try, no try.
Or like actually someone comes on with some food for the ref.
Yeah. And then if the bag's got no food and it means there's no try. They go,
Yeah, put a bit of theatre on it. That doesn't take even more time. Charlie, I'm really glad you brought that up, because it frustrated me, and I'm sure it irks a lot of our listeners as well. Anyway,
good to see you,
mate. Great jam and cheese / midweek matters. Looking forward to Wednesday with cheese. Catch you in the week, guys. Thank you.
See ya.